My name is Tori and I run the page Educate and Agitate, which you may be watching this video on. I have recently started vlogging. This will be my second vlog. I love the word vlog. And it is part of Mental Health Awareness Week. Yesterday started Mental Health Awareness Week for this year, and as part of Mental Health Awareness Week I will be doing a mental health diary every day, looking at my own experience with mental health, and providing as much information as I can for you guys, and giving any things that I think can help you or help others who you know. So the three areas that I'm going to be focusing on are depression, anxiety and PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm going to be focusing on those areas because those are the ones that I've been diagnosed with myself, and those are the ones that I've had the most experience with. So today I'll just be focusing on the symptoms of depression, anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll look at depression first. The main symptoms that I suffered with depression was severely low mood, just an overwhelming sadness with no reason. I'd randomly burst into tears, again, no reason. I could be watching a film, I could be walking to school, I could be lying in bed, and I would just randomly burst into tears. I often managed to conceal it and do it when I was on my own. But yeah, there would be absolutely no reason for me to burst into tears, and I would just randomly burst into tears. Feelings of complete hopelessness. You know, that what was the point in life, and what was the point in me, and what was I going to do? You know, who was I? Couldn't see any sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Hypersensitivity. I've often been told, oh, stop being so sensitive, oh, you're so sensitive, you know, and I recognised it in myself. I recognised that I was a very sensitive person, and I always have had the power, if you will, of feeling severe empathy. I can often sympathise and empathise very strongly with people because I almost feel their feelings. So any sadness around me, and I seem to absorb it. Overactive mind and overthinking, major symptoms of my depression. Overthinking absolutely everything, especially at night time, obviously when you're just about to go to bed, and just feeling exhausted from my mind just going round and round in circles and analysing absolutely everything, to the point where it didn't even make sense. Completely irrational. Anxiety, as many people will know, and a lot of people don't, depression and anxiety tend to go hand in hand because it's quite circular. The one symptom often leads to another. So part of my anxiety, I used to at one point I had severe heart palpitations, which is a sign of sort of panic attacks. Again, randomly bursting into tears, sweaty palms, that sense of nervousness, again for no real reason, this dread and doom and gloom, as they say, just feeling like severe fear of everything, especially death. A really big focus in my head was death, and the fear of death and of losing people. As a young girl, I often had horrible images that would flash through my mind of very severe violence, and things that I couldn't control, and things that as a young girl, you know, I should have never have had going through my head. As well as severe nightmares. So very realistic nightmares, often, again, around violence. So violence happening to me, happening to my family, happening to the people closest to me. And then I suppose then the anxiety and the depression then fed into PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, as somebody mentioned on Educate and Agitate, post-traumatic stress disorder is often associated with soldiers and people that have experienced war. But obviously, as the title says, post-traumatic stress disorder, trauma can come in various different variety, shapes, forms, and often it happens in childhood. So as adults, we don't even remember it. It can happen, years and years previously, and a lot of the time you think, oh no, I was just really strong and I dealt with it. And often what's happened is, yeah, you are strong, but what's happened is that the shock has been absorbed. Your brain or your body has absorbed this shock, and then it'll come out in some other way. And this is what I meant by, mental health and physical health. Your body and your mind are one machine, and the mind is a fascinating place that we don't fully use or fully understand, and is capable of reacting for us through our body without us even really knowing what's going on. So, we might have things that happen with our body later on down the line that are a result of anxiety or a result of depression. With post-traumatic stress disorder, I first sort of experienced a proper panic attack when I was about 16, 17, and I was watching Heroes. And there was one specific scene where I believe the doctor, I can't remember his name, gets murdered, and his head is violently smashed against a window. Now, I was happily watching the programme, I was eating popcorn, and then that started happening, and this dread flooded through my body, and this overwhelming, I just couldn't breathe, and I started crying uncontrollably like a little girl. And I suppose that was my first experience of post-traumatic stress disorder. And it happens a lot when I see any sort of violence, fighting, films, shouting, anything like that, and that dread instantly comes over me. Again, the intense fear of death and loss and foreseeing tragedy. I suppose if you've ever seen the Final Destination films, they foresee death, and that's something that I have quite a lot. Another thing that I suffered from was a severe fear of men. Unfortunately, guys, I not so much a fear of them maybe hurting me, but a major lack of understanding. I didn't have any positive male role models in my life as a child or, growing up. They were either absent or not very nice. So for me, it wasn't that I felt all men were like that, but I didn't have any positive experience to go off of, so I didn't understand how to be around men. So I always felt very vulnerable. Luckily, that's changed. That's something that I've managed to overcome through putting myself out there and trusting men, I suppose, and trusting just people in general. And another major thing that is part of all three of the mental health problems that I suffer from is afraid to be happy. I am still, to this day, I struggle to ever let myself be fully happy and be fully full of joy, because I'm afraid that if I let myself be happy, that something bad is going to happen to take that away. Those are the symptoms that I suffered from, guys. If you have suffered from any of these symptoms and you think, oh God, no, that sounds like me, that sounds like something that I've done, that behaviour sounds like me, I'm a sociable person, but I do often overcompensate. So perhaps because I feel that I don't want to be in a social situation, I will force myself to be in that situation, and then, you know, be the center of the party, and I will make sure everybody's having a good time, because then it's not focusing on me. But, you know, these behaviours are something that I will talk about in later videos, and I'll also talk about coping mechanisms, because things that we do protect us. We do these things to survive. So yeah, if you've had any of these symptoms, if you think that, you know, something like that has happened to you, or something, you know, it might not be post-traumatic stress disorder, it might not be anxiety, it might not be depression, but you know, you think something, or, you know, look it up, and I will be providing avenues that you can go down. But we'll come to that in the next few episodes. So I hope I've helped you guys become a little bit more aware of this type of symptoms that I suffer from personally. There are a vast majority. Depression, anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder vary for everyone. They are different for every single case. So please, if you have any other symptoms that you've had personally, and obviously you don't want to be mentioned, bring them to the table. I will air them. I want to learn. We all want to learn about mental health, and we want to beat this and ensure that we are thriving and not just surviving. We're not just making it day to day. So thank you for listening. Tomorrow I'll be talking about medication and the pros and cons of medication. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and keep it up, guys. You're doing well.